I'm just home from hospital after having an ablation, which is a procedure to try to correct arrhythmia, which is an irregular heartbeat. I was diagnosed with the condition in December at a time when I collapsed and my wife had to pick me up off the bathroom floor. And after going to the doctor, I was admitted to the hospital by ambulance. After undergoing a cardioversion, which is basically electric shock treatment on my heart, I was discharged that time, and I've been on certain medication since, beta blockers and blood thinners, to make sure that I don't suffer from a stroke, which is the greatest risk of arrhythmia. This time, when I was in hospital, I underwent another cardioversion to correct the heartbeat, which still wasn't beating properly in sync, and I also had an ablation. The process of the ablation involved them making a hole in my groin area to access a vein. Now that was very painful. It was actually the most painful part of the procedure when they were trying to access the vein, which apparently is buried quite deep in my leg. So once they're inside, they inserted a tube. Now I didn't see the tube because I was lying flat on my back, although I was awake for the start of the process. And they inserted it through the vein up to my heart, entered the right chamber and crossed through the chamber wall into the left chamber and carried out a process where they, in layman's terms, put very, very cold air onto the valves to control the electrolytes so that my heart will beat in a different rhythm and thus I can live a normal life with the arrhythmia. And to be fair, it was all relatively painless. I didn't really know what was going on. At a certain time, they must have sedated me, and then they woke me up a couple of hours later and said, okay, everything is done. I now have to wait 3 months to find out if the process has worked, which is quite normal. But in the meantime, I'm on another couple of drugs as well. I'm overwhelmed by modern medicine, the fact that they can go through my groin to access my heart, and that they can go into my heart and perform this procedure when I was awake. I was only asleep for the last part because they were going to perform the cardioversion. And you can't have basically a defibrillation process on your heart whilst you're conscious, except in an emergency, I guess. So the only problem I have is that they didn't remove the stitching from my groin. So I'm off now to my GP and hopefully they'll be able to remove the stitches. I think there was all a bit of confusion as I was discharged on the Saturday. So the regular consultants weren't working and I'm not quite sure A talk to B. But I don't think it's a big deal and I was treated very well. And the German health system has been wonderful. They've carried out these procedures all within a few months. And I'll go to see my cardiologist again in 3 months to see how successful the procedure was. It's a 70 to 80% success rate. So there is a chance it doesn't work. So it's not 100% guarantees, and I may have to have other course of treatment, but all going well so far, and I'm in good health. I get a bit tired, and I think that's probably because of the stay in hospital with all the sedation, etc. Oh, and I should add, the worst part is the endoscopy, which they do before the whole procedure. They did it the day before when they insert a long tube down through the esophagus to check the heart that there's no blood clots before they perform the cardioversion. That's the bit I hated the most. But luckily for that one, because I'm unable to swallow such a long tube, they sedated me, so I didn't really know what was going on. But yeah, that was the process. I'm in good health and hopefully all will work out fine.